Good evening, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting of Thursday, December 17th, 2015. This evening, we'll start the meeting with an update on the Minuteman Regional Vocational School and the proposed amendment. Candace, I know you've been doing an awful lot of work on this, so I will give you the floor right now, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doley. And Mr. Spalding, please chime in if there's anything I leave out. I know for a number of, maybe 6 past years, Minuteman has been trying to get approved a new building project, and this time is rapidly running out. On June 30th, 2016, the state money that is made available for this proposed building project is coming off the table, and so it is very important that we get to the point where, in fact, you're able in the Minuteman District to go ahead and proceed with the building project, and towards that end, the 16 member towns have redoubled their efforts to come up with an agreement that all the towns could live with. Apparently in 2014, if I understand, there was a proposed agreement, and yet the problem was that there were a number of towns who were not comfortable with aspects of it, and I understand that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education also did not ever rule on that, and so it just sort of was tabled. But in the last 2 months, all of the towns have gotten together and have formulated a proposed agreement. We haven't seen the final draft of it, and we're only working off the information. I was lucky enough to be in attendance at that meeting on the 2nd of December. It was really an exciting evening because everyone has the incentive to see this agreement approved. And one of the reasons why it's so exciting is because it offers Dover the opportunity to proceed with the Minuteman District as the townspeople choose. Not only is it going to facilitate in getting the building project off the ground, but in addition to that, Dover has always wanted, and by law is obligated to offer a free and appropriate public education to all its students. And VOTEC is one of those aspects on the continuum of programming which many students can benefit from. So giving Dover the opportunity to approve a proposed agreement that then gives us the choice and the ability to vote, either to remain in the district or to withdraw from the district, this is where we stand at this particular point. Is that a pretty good synopsis, Mr. Spalding?
May I leave?
No,
No, that's excellent.
okay. Because I don't want to leave anything out, but I wanted to sort of set the stage.
Ford, I was remiss not to introduce you originally. Ford Spalding, who is the Dover rep to the Minuteman School, and you're also the chair of the building committee over there. So excuse me for not introducing you originally.
I can live with that.
Okay, thank you.
He's
Thank
been
you,
here
Ken.
before.
I know.
First, if it's all right, I want to speak. I want to thank, and not to exclude Jim, but I want to...
Well, you just did.
Well, but I really am not, because you've been involved, but I really want to thank Robin and Candace and Karen Liston before that. You've all been very active on this project. I'd like to tell people, I didn't know who Minuteman was 7 years ago when I got a call to see if I wanted to serve, and I sat in your seat, and I sat in Doug Lawrence's seat, and I really didn't know because it was a small part of the budget, it really didn't mean much. I now know an awful lot about Minuteman, and I think you all know an awful lot about Minuteman. Because you're right, we have embarked on replacing our building that was built in 1972 for an education program that was established in 1972. And we are completely revamped our education program, and you've heard me talk about that before, but we need to bring the building up to date to support that program. You're right, the regional agreement has been worked on by 2 separate groups. Lisbon was on the original committee. That agreement didn't happen. Then this last one, Robin participated to a large degree on it. That didn't happen. So some of us said to our school committee members, we're out of it. We're out of the game. We're not going to do the regional agreement anymore. We told the superintendent he's not permitted to work on a regional agreement anymore. Let's turn it over to the selectmen and get them to do it. Plus, government works very well with the deadline. June 30th was the deadline, but we really gave them until December to come up with an agreement, because it has to dovetail with what we're doing in the building. The selectmen have stepped up to the plate. An agreement draft has been done. We were supposed to vote on it as a school committee this past Monday. We did not, at the request of the selectmen that are at the meeting, because they really wanted to vet it tonight. This evening in Weston, they're going to be talking about it again. I do not expect any changes to the agreement, although I've been surprised before on this. And let me just run through some of the major points, if I may, of that agreement, because I think it's important. There's going to be proportional voting. Arlington wanted that. They send the largest amount of the students there. Proportional voting is something that I personally have not been in favor of. And I wasn't when I was on the regional school committee and it was being discussed. However, in this case, in order to get to yes, sometimes you have to go along and do that. I will tell you, in my 7 years on the school committee, Arlington and Dover have never voted differently. Now, we don't get together and talk about how we're going to vote because that's illegal, but we've never voted differently. We don't believe it would have changed under proportional voting any actions that were taken. Second, there's an agreement that we've made it easier for towns to depart the district. It was unanimous. You had to have unanimous votes by the town meeting. It's now by a majority vote. Or if a town doesn't even want to call a town meeting over that subject, it can be passed by, what's it called? By non-action. By non-action meaning that you effectively have approved it. So that has made it very easy. We've gone one other step because we're going into a building process. We've said if the towns make it known that they would like to be considered to leave the district, they should need to let the district know, I think it's within the next couple of weeks, that they are interested in doing that. And I will have a further discussion on that later. But if they do that, they are going to be able to leave the district now, subject to approval by the commissioner. They're going to be able to leave the district, and they are not going to be responsible for the debt it's incurred by the building. So it's made it much more attractive, I think, as far as Dover is concerned when we start thinking about our options. The other thing that they had in the agreement, which was just recently put in last week, there was a minimum of 5 students when you dealt with a capital formula. It's now down to 1 student. So the minimum is 1 student. That's going to reduce Dover's cost. You hear the cost, you're going to say, really? But that's going to reduce Dover's cost by almost 40% in the capital. So that is a very attractive thing. And I think it's something that I heard from this board that they wanted to see months ago. So we were able to get that in. Out-of-district students, the Commissioner of Education passed regulations within the last 4 or 5 months that says we can charge a capital fee for out-of-district students. That was never the case. That was the problem when we talked about in-district and out-of-district, how many out-of-district students we should have. Because I'm not going to build a building for out-of-district students. We may now charge. And what you do is, the calculation is they take the average capital assessment of the 16-member towns, and they're going to charge that fee. We're estimating that will be about $8,000 per student. So including the operating costs, you add $8,000 under that. That is very important. We will probably have, and it hasn't been decided, it was sort of shelved, we'll have a municipal agreement between the school committee, let's say of Dover, and the Minuteman School Committee would have come up with an agreement of how they're going to handle these costs, but that's really not being discussed at this moment. Doesn't mean it won't be, it's just not on the table. The operating budget calculation, as you know, it was every year was figured by your October 1 enrollment, and in order to level it out more, it's now going to be a 4-year average. So that's going to be just make it easier for warrant committees to project what the costs are going to be going forward. Those are the main parts of the agreement. I think it's a very solid agreement. Some people like some parts of it, some people don't like others, but when you try to get 16 people at a table to come up, we've been able to do that. And I expect in Weston tonight, we're going to get the okay. The school committee has scheduled a special school committee meeting for this Monday at 6 p.m. at Minuteman, where hopefully we will act upon that. Just costs, I think it's important that you understand, what would the per student cost be for the district? I'm going to send you these notes. I did them today. I'll send them to you so you have them. Doug, you'll get a copy of them also. But in district, Dover in district today, if we looked at a building project that you're going to be charged for today, plus the operating for FY16, your cost for tuition would be $25,677. That's for operating costs. The operating costs when you're in district includes transportation and includes sped. The capital fee for Dover, and we based it on a 3-student, because that's what your 3-student enrollment was as of October 1. There are currently 2 students there, but that's what it says as of October 1. Per student cost would be $19,202. So the total amount, if you were going to send a student today as an in-district student, would be $44,879. That's a calculation that was given to me this afternoon. Using those assumptions, that's obviously going to change. We're going to be bringing a budget to the warrant committee into the town for 2017, FY2017, which is going to be a reduction in the budget, because we're starting to prepare for the 628 students. So these numbers are for out of district. If you were an out of district student, if you elected not to stay in the district and you were going to send a student to go to Minuteman, the tuition is set by the commissioner. And that would be currently $17,566. Commissioner's actually going down in the cost of this going along. I have no idea why. The capital fee, as we said, would be $8,000. Then they would be paying for transportation. Dover would be paying for transportation. That number is going to be verified by the bus company we'll get tomorrow. With our best calculation, $13,759 per student. Unreal. I think we all know the Uber drivers. And sped costs are $4,500 if the student is on an IEP. So that's $43,815. It's $1,000 difference, less expensive if you were an out-of-district. What I also wanted to reiterate, and I sent you an email in the last couple of days, just to reiterate, if you were an out-of-district town, that doesn't mean that you automatically would be able to send kids to the Minuteman. Quite honestly, there has to be space available. There has to be space available not only in the school, but for the students' program that they're interested in. If they're interested in biotechnology and it's filled by in-district kids, who can't get in. So in-district kids are going to have priority. So that is the first consideration. The second, I talked about the costs. So you have that. And third, there's a very good chance, and it's hard for me to tell you why I believe this, but the schools will be filled. Some of us feel that 628 is an undersized school. It's undersized because just this year, we went out to all middle schools in district, and we go out every year asking for people to come. It used to be, Doug, when you were at DS, you all went. It was a day off, and that was a good deal. Now, the student raises their hand and says, yes, they want to come. We've added another figure. They need to get a permission slip from their parents to come. We saw 1,400 students signed up this year. 300 signed up the year before. 400 came and visited after the parents had their say. So 400 students came in. I cannot tell you how enrollments are going right now, but that's one factor. Second factor is we know the Governor Baker, has come out very strongly for vocational education. working with workforce development. And he has a new department within the education department dealing with that, and that's going to be another push. Plus, we know the federal government, they're also talking about it. So we think there's more of an impetus for it. Part of that has to do with, a little bit with workforce development, but it also has to do with parents paying a lot of money for colleges and not knowing, what's my child going to get out of it. These kids are going to college with a purpose. And in some cases, like for Minuteman, we had 12 students this year that are going to go to Northeastern at the same time, and they're receiving credits as they go on to college. So that happens. So the risk is, will there be room at the end as an out of district, if you're out of district? I think I have, the selectmen, as they've gone through their deliberations, and a little bit through our pushing, are moving the process along a little quicker. We know that June 30th is the drop dead date, as you're correct, for the MSBA process. We also know that because of escalation costs in the construction trades, that if we can move this project up 6 months, we're going to save approximately $3 million, $3 to $4 million. We also know that the MSBA, as they give you what they're going to give you as a reimbursement rate, which is 40%, we don't know, we won't know until January 27th, but we believe we're going to be up to 44.5%, based on leads, based on a new agreement, and a few other things. We think we're going to be able to get up to that. But that's based on eligible costs. The true rate is going to be closer to 32%. Why are we building a building bigger than they're going to fund? They offer us $299 per student based on the square footage of the building. That's the same rate that you get if you did Chipping or if you did the high school. They take no thought process going into career technical schools. They did just last week ask us for our FF&E budget, and in particular, what are all the things that we need? And that list is being put together as we speak. It's going to be huge. We're taking a lot with us, but we're putting it in an advanced manufacturing program. Advanced manufacturing in a school down the road, vocational school, costs about $1.5 million, just in equipment. So I wanted to give you that. We're talking about the need for a special town meeting, therefore. We've asked all the towns to set a special town meeting date. As some of you know, I have never been in favor of special town meetings. We never had them when I was sitting there. However, we're dealing with 16 towns. We think we're going to have to do that. And Monday night, if the school committee, which I anticipate they will come up with 2 to 3 warrant articles. They send those out to you. Roughly 60 days after that, you're going to have a special town meeting.
Well, for
Just this afternoon,
okay.
I had some discussions with our superintendent because Lincoln's town meeting, regular town meeting, is March 19th. So I was saying, can we at least get to March 19th, which is almost a 90-day.
Right.
So those discussions are going. Yes, Jim?
Well, no, I just wanted to wrap up the discussion for the purpose of the agenda, but thank you for that. We are actually enthusiastic about the progress made to date, and looking forward to see what the results of Monday evening's vote is. At that time, our next meeting is January 7th, and with all things considered, and if everything moves positive, we can act on it on January 7th. And certainly working with the clerk of the town and Dave and Greer and Mona, and we know that's enough time if we had to have a special town meeting. So we are all set up to run with this particular program that Minuteman is presenting to us, given that they vote positively Monday evening. So everything's lined up. I thank you for that presentation. Candace, thank you for yours. But I do have an agenda I want to move forward.
Can I ask just a quick question?
5 seconds.
I'd like to go to Weston. I want to be able to represent Dover, because you're not going to be able to be there.
Right.
they're gonna ask, what is Dover's feeling? I think you said you're gonna call a special town meeting.
No, we'll react to Monday night's vote.
Vote, okay, you'll react to Monday night's
We're
vote.
enthusiastic about, certainly, about the positive movement of this new agreement.
Do
Absolutely.
you have any inkling in how you would handle whether you will stay in or out that discussion?
I would have to
Would you
see,
like hold on that?
I don't want to prolong this, but I would have to see the vote from the Minuteman.
Fine.
You know, I don't want to guess at abstract here.
Perfect.
Okay.
And it's for the people of Dover to decide, and I don't think that really impacts this regional school agreement. You know, if you keep your name in, you have your options open. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's very positive, though, so
I
thank you.
just would love to just
Please.
add one more thing, and that is, there is no question that based on the proposed agreement as far as what we have seen, and we haven't seen any final draft or really been able to approve it, but based on that, it certainly is important for us to support the new agreement, because that new agreement is what opens all the options for the town of Dover.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point.
Great, thank
Well
you.
said.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for it very much, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give you a report of it tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Let's move on to the next agenda item, please. I'm 3 minutes behind, and I'm a very prompt person. The next agenda item, is the Meadow Homeowners Association has a plowing request. And Betsy Alden, thank you for coming. You are the president of that homeowners association. Yes, thank you. Would you like to make a statement? I know Dave's going to weigh in on it also, but please.
Well, Dave's actually been very helpful and sent us sort of the checklist that we would have to follow if we want to petition the town. And I'm not familiar with town meeting process, although I've been in this town a long time, so I really followed his guidelines. But that is what we appear to need to do, to take the steps to initiate having the town take over the roads. So that's,
Except the roads. Except the
Basically,
roads.
lay them out and accept them in order to be able to maintain them and specifically to plow them.
Yeah.
and so there are sort of two other tangential issues to that. One is, and I know that you're all aware of that, we own as common property a sort of odd segment of the road that goes from the end of Hawthorne Lane to Devon Ave. And it's staked out so you can sort of walk it and look at it. We sort of discovered that, it's in all of our deeds, but when we looked a little more closely, we rewrote some of our language and had to refile, so we were sort of, okay, we own this, and what do we want to do with it? So we approached Dave and said, this is sort of a conundrum, it's clearly not beneficial property for us, we don't have an intended use for it. And it's also an odd piece of property because it bisects the road diagonally. And if you look at where it's marked, it actually, part of the road is paved that's not in the property lines, and part of it's paved that is in the property lines. So it's not something that the Meadows sees a need for, and it would make sense to us if the town would take it as a gift. In order to do that, all of our homeowners have to assent to that, and I think it's 75% vote according to our documents. And first mortgages, I think a majority have to sign on as well. So I've been trying to pour through the documents that David sent me, and it strikes me that it's possible you could combine the two based on what I've read, that you could give the land and have the town assume the roads. And in fact, that segment would be part of what the town would assume in the roads. Not a lawyer, and it's just my quick reading of what Dave sent me and some digging I did a little bit in law in Massachusetts on road acceptance. So I'm really here to be instructed on what are the steps we need to take to move forward on that. And the last tangential issue is, I don't know if any of you ever try to pull out of Hawthorne Lane, but if you do, anyone coming towards town can't see it until they've crested the hill.
Right.
So, I mean, I sort of say a prayer and gas it to go across, but I think it's an accident waiting to happen. One thought I had is potentially taking that little segment from the end of Hawthorne Lane to the top of Springdale and making it one way going out of town, it would be something obviously that you'd want the town to consider and understand if there are other alternatives, but.
Oh, you forced the left onto Church Street?
So if you were coming into town, you would have to go on Dedham, but then you could turn down this.
Oh, of course, either Church or
to come
Dedham.
back
Okay,
to
thank you.
Hawthorne or to go to Dover Market.
Yep.
And there's another road right there, so you could also use that road too. But it would disable cars from hopping over the hill and, seeing Hawthorne Lane once they were already halfway down.
Mhm.
So that's the tangential issue to, concern that we have as homeowners about Hawthorne Lane, Hawthorne Lane extension, and,
It's an interesting point. I wonder if there was a traffic study considered by the Meadows back 15 years ago, whenever it was.
There was. And
Be
they
interesting
did
to
make
look
some
back on that.
recommendations, which I can share with you, that were not adopted.
Yeah, I'd like to look at that, but it's an excellent thought process, though.
well, now we have 24 people in full-time residents, and we have, I think, 4 families with children, so the bus stops right at the end there, and it's just,
Right.
we all know that this area has congestion and
Yes.
has had accidents.
No, let's look at that. If we can pull it out, that'd be great, if we can look at that. Thank you very much. Do you have anything else?
Well, so I'm really here to understand what I need to do on behalf of the Meadows to take the next step to have the town take acceptance of the roads.
Okay, and I believe you started the conversation that you've been working with Dave already,
Yeah.
and I think that's an excellent move on your behalf. And continue the work with Dave, and you'll give specific instructions, working with the town council, so that we're within the meaning of the law here.
And we obviously think there's some time horizon here. My understanding is this is a warrant article.
There's an open warrant session right now.
Until the 9th,
Jan-
15th.
So what we would do with this, with the board's blessing, is work with you to sculpt, working with Greer, who prepares the warrant, article language that would make it possible for these various things, not the traffic study, that's really not
Right.
at this point part of this
Accepting
timeframe,
the roads.
but the street acceptance and the gift to be part of this warrant is insofar as legally practicable, because the street acceptance is a rather convoluted process. I shared with you that memo, but at least we can get the ball rolling with the board's blessing.
Would the acceptance of a gift, of this type of gift, have to go before the town, or could it? Yes, it would.
Because it's not I don't
Thank you.
assume the
I know,
Conservation
right.
Commission would be interested in a
Right.
park, a paved area, but,
Okay.
yeah,
So
otherwise.
2 warrant
town-
articles then? Okay. Absolutely, I think that's a worthwhile endeavor, first of all, to thank you for considering a gift to the town, and I absolutely will take under advisement and work with Dave as far as formulating a warrant for the town meeting as to the acceptance of those streets. I know legal's looked at it already, and they have an opinion on that. Anything, Robin, or Candace?
No.
Okay, Dave, do you have anything to add?
Nope. So I'll be in touch with Betsy. I want to applaud Betsy for her patience. It took us
Yes.
a while to sort this all out, but I think we now know the direction, and we can work together with Craig and Mike and Jerry and Greer to shepherd us through the processes
Good.
that we need to go through so the town can make some decisions.
And thank you for the heads up on the safety. We take that seriously, and we'll look into that.
So Dave, in the interest of time, does it make sense to put placeholders in the warrants, on the warrants, even though we don't know exactly what the warrants are gonna look like?
Yes.
So it's a selectman-sponsored warrant article, it wouldn't be a citizens-sponsored warrant article?
Whichever way you want to go.
Well, there's a big difference. One, we could put a placeholder. A citizens has to be specific.
Has to have 10 signatures and specific
Yeah.
language.
It would seem to me if the selectmen put it forth, I don't know if that's true, but it has more weight and merit.
Well,
Well,
thank you for that compliment, but go with
You
it.
may be the only person in town who feels that way.
It shows my ignorance, perhaps.
No, it's not, it's not at all. I hadn't thought about either selectmen or the citizens until this moment.
Me neither.
Should we
I
take
just thought
that
it was
under
better.
advisement?
You certainly may, there's plenty of time before now and the next meeting, and sponsorship doesn't mean approval, it simply means we're okaying the opening of the discussion to the town
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to delve more into a citizens versus a selectmen's warrant article where we're asking the town to approve to accept private roads. So I'd like to look into that a little more.
Well, I'm
Just
thinking a
to-
precedent has been set, because haven't we been asked to accept other private roads, or is this the first
Not
time?
in the last 6 years that I've sat here.
Okay.
The last, I don't recall whether Tisdale was a citizen's petition or whether selectmen sponsored it. The selectmen were very supportive. And of course, before Tisdale, there were like 15 or 20 streets that a selectman-appointed committee shepherded through the street acceptance process. So it wouldn't be unprecedented for the Board of Selectmen to sponsor the article, again, reserving the right as to whether they would endorse it or not, but to allow the process to
Yeah.
proceed. There are some interesting logistical wrinkles, given the layout and the history at the Meadows, that may be unique, that we'll have to talk about with the staff. But as far as getting the town meeting process going, it's not unprecedented for the Board of Selectmen. But I think it's wise to take it under advisement. There's still time to make that decision.
Okay.
And time to make this warrant.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Yeah, I'd like to let that issue want to go further down. That's all.
As long
Good.
as we're moving forward.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
I definitely don't want to slow it down or stop it.
Yep.
I just want to gain a little more knowledge on it.
Okay, so we'll continue to work and
Yes.
you'll let me know the next steps and what I need to do.
I will. And thank you for all your help so far, Betsy. I really appreciate it.
Good.
Okay, hopefully it's a win-win that the town gets the
Yes.
road that it uses a lot and we get the town to take over as well.
Great. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks. Good night. Have a great holiday.
You too.
I close my eyes, trying to know that too.
Yeah, I just don't know. Okay, let's move along to the next agenda item, and that's to award the washed sand bid. Greer, is this you?
Sure, yes.
Is that you? If it's not, tell me, that's
I
okay.
was not at the bid opening today.
Oh.
The superintendent of streets conducted the bid opening, and with Mona and Nancy Bates's able assistance, and there was only one bidder this year. The bidder was LaRusso. We have used LaRusso and Sons of Walpole in the past, and their bid was $17.75 per ton for wash sand that is delivered, and picked up is $14.25 per ton. They are both increases over last year. $1.50 per ton increase in delivery and $1 per ton for pickup. The superintendent of streets is recommending that you accept this bid this evening.
And just to clarity on the increase, they were, well, number one, they were the vendor last year?
They have.
I know this name. so
They
the-
have been. There used to be two, they were in the same family and they would compete against each other. So we have used both LaRussos. I'm not sure which one this is. I do know they're within the 25-mile radius that is required so that we can get prompt delivery of sand
Great.
as needed during snow and ice season.
Whatever way we vote this, I would love to see an inventory of available sand already owned by the town.
Okay.
Where is it?
I think it,
It's in the salt shed.
Right.
mm.
So there's got to be a beginning number. Last year, Mr. Hughes, I'm sure, knows how much he used, and we know how much we purchased, so there should be some sort of indication of how much we have on hand. Well, my point is, last year was terrible snow year, so we know
Yes.
basically what a maximum exposure is.
Mhm.
I'm curious to the numbers.
That's a 9% increase, that's kind of hefty.
It's a heavy number increase. Now, last year, at the end of the year, there was no sand around anywhere in the Northeast. It was very, very expensive.
Mhm.
And then, so supply and demand comes into play there. But on the other side, the delivery cost is much lower this year than it was last year because of fuel costs and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So I was curious to what the increase was for also, Robin.
Yes, we can certainly look into that. It may be that there are not, I don't know how many vendors are within that radius in order for us to receive the sand timely when needed, when
Right.
we run out.
Yeah, I don't want to get in the way of progress and our operations of the town, that's for sure. But I was curious.
Okay.
And I I seem to remember last year, the superintendent had very wisely bought ahead, and we even needed to loan to some of the surrounding towns.
That is
Was-
something Mr.
I
Ramsey.
think it was salt.
Oh, salt. Oh, still very,
He sent his own trucks, he hired
That's
trucks to go in
wonderful.
and get the salt, because the salt was plentiful. Delivery was impossible, because Boston had commandeered all the trucks.
I see.
Craig wisely and quietly sent his own trucks in and picked it up.
That's great.
Good.
I remember that.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I just want a little more information so we can talk succinctly in the future about it.
Okay.
That being said, I will make the motion that we award the bid to SM LaRusso and Sons of Walpole, Massachusetts for the wash the bid sand as presented this evening. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Well, perhaps if we got unwashed sand, it would be...
Unwashed, don't you understand? Thank you. As we move along, back on the agenda after maybe a month or two ago was, there was a possibility of accepting a gift of land from Stephen Gould. And this, currently, this particular three parcel piece has come up again, and Mr. Gould has decided to gift it to the Concom once again.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, now that's the base summary of it. Is there more information that you want to tell us?
It may not be gifted all three parcels simultaneously. We have spoken to Concom, and they do say it is a significant resource value, and they are asking, they had sent a memo earlier for the board to consider accepting the gift of the land, which will be donated to Conservation Commission. And we have told them that if in fact the board were to accept that, it would be contingent upon a phase 1 environmental study to ensure that there are no contaminants
Mhm.
on those parcels. There do not appear to be, based on a preliminary walk by the Conservation Commission members and their environmental engineer.
Who pays for the phase 1? Concom or the Board of Selectmen?
The last time a 21E was conducted was for 287 Dedham
Dedham
Street.
Street.
And so that was land that the Conservation Commission purchased.
Yeah.
However, they asked the Board of Selectmen to pay through its professional services line item for that phase 1 study.
Do we have available funds?
We do, yes.
And Concom does not?
They budget fairly tightly, I know. They typically are pretty much running on fumes by the end of the fiscal year. Would that be
Correct. I think that's pretty accurate.
Okay, I'm not trying to push it one way or the other, I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Greer. So it's a two-part agenda. First is to vote to accept the gift, and we can vote even though it's not in all three parcels at once. We can vote to accept it as, despite the timing.
Yep, and contingent upon,
Satisfactory.
21.
Oh, that's 21E, thank you. The phase 1 of the 21E, thanks.
Good.
Good. Candace, since you're so near and dear to Concom, would you like to make this motion?
Yes, I would like to move that we accept the gift of land from Mr. Gould in the two phases, subject to a satisfactory 21E inspection.
I'd second that.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Mr. Gould, for that.
Yes.
In addition to, you signed, okay. In addition to that vote, our next vote would be to engage ADS Environmental Engineering to conduct the environmental site assessment of the Gould property, and which, to reiterate, I just asked about who would pay for that. The selectmen in the past have paid for that. We have money appropriated from, and during this fiscal year to pay for it, so that's okay. So I'll make a motion that we execute the agreement between the town of Dover and ADS Environmental Engineering. Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And just for the record, the cost is $3,700.
30, yeah, I saw it, right. Thank you for that, Robin. Good, thank you. So that's been voted and approved. Thank you.
You're a busy man tonight.
That's
Mr.
okay.
Donnelly.
It's okay.
Can you sign and talk at the same time?
Yep.
As we do a budget?
Might not be able to understand me, but I can.
Would you like us to proceed with the approval of the Selectmen's fiscal year operating budgets?
Okay, just me signing this, okay, 3 copies. Do I have the third here? I only have 2 copies here, I think. Okay.
Well, you were so fast, you skipped over the one.
Thank you. Again,
My job is.
Mr. Gould, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, my able assistant. Okay, our next agenda item is to approve the Selectmen's fiscal 2007 operating budgets. We've dealt with this over the last 3 meetings. Thank you for all the information. We had 1 revision last meeting. We do not have any revisions to the budgets as presented prior.
No, sir.
Do you have any questions, Robin or Candace?
No, I do not.
Then I would like to vote to approve as submitted, including the revision last week, the Selectmen budgets. And the operating budget numbers are 122, 129, 135, 145, 151, 155, which was revised at our last meeting, 171, 176, 191, 192, 193, 195, 199. 201, 241, 291, 292, 294, 295, 299, 411, 422, 423, 424, 425, 428, 439, 450, 541, 543, 602, 604, 691, 692, 710, 751, 759, 911, 912, 914, 916, and last but not least, 950. So let's vote to approve those as submitted.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
A lot of numbers.
That's a lot of numbers. Yes. As we move along, and our next agenda item is to execute the bond anticipation note extension for 46 Springdale Avenue land purchase. Dave, are you going to speak to this?
I am Mr. Dolly.
Please, thank you.
The treasurer held his auction on the rollover, and you see the attached bid results. The low bid was Eastern Bank with the net interest cost of 1.068%. And the treasurer, Jerry Lane, is recommending awarding the rollover to Eastern Bank.
Excellent. 1.6. And that's a fixed number, it doesn't change with what the Fed did last night?
It does not.
Great, thank you.
Oh. It's fixed for the
1 year.
bond period.
The bond period, 1 year. Good, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lane. I don't have any comments or
Either.
questions.
No.
Candace?
I don't.
Very good.
Thank you.
So we will, I will make the motion that we award the certificate to the Eastern Bank as presented by Mr. Ramsey. Do I hear a second on that? Thank you, Robin. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you.
There's lots of signing here.
Oh, boy, okay.
Use the blue Robin, please.
You have to sign a blue pen.
All
Sign it.
Oh, over the
all
thing.
3 of us?
Now, all 3 are going to sign 4 sheets.
Okay, but we only have 1 blue pen.
Yeah.
It's
Blue.
That's, well, I think that's,
It's a pretty color.
Is it? I think it is,
yeah,
right?
it's, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, definitely. is
Okay,
blue.
Robin, that's for you. It's different than this.
Do we need blue?
Yes, yes. Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And this is your 4 sheets.
Oh, really? In blue?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll look at that.
Okay.
They take care of a lot of trees in these bond, bills.
Yeah, I'm feeling really important that I'm the only one signing these now.
to start sending Blue Christmas.
Christmas. Dave, you made a funny.
Oh, for Robin, thanks.
That's blue also.
We're not done.
This is, I got that. It's a new cross, that one. I wanted to have,
Thank you, audience, for bearing with us during this commercial break.
I had none of that.
Okay.
You have to use blue pen.
This is blue.
Oh, it is?
This one you gave me. Thank you.
Here's another blue pen.
Are those all signed?
Those were just me.
Oh.
I had the power.
Oh, nice, as secretary. Great. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
That was clerk, darn, yeah.
Two signatures or four?
Yeah, there was, I missed it too. I missed it
Yes, that is.
Good thing one of us is
Oh my gosh,
awake.
I didn't get the four.
barely. Thank you, Candace.
Thanks.
Let me just check this before I hand it
Sure.
back. Good, 1, 2, 3.
Mona's not letting us out of the room.
Count those flags.
Good. Let me look at that, let me look at that. Very good, thank you. Mona, thank you for all that. And here's 2 blue pens. Okay, I think, someone take my agenda. My agenda might be in that stack. No, we just signed the agenda away. Okay, thank you for that. In other business on the agenda, we have special licenses, and I have 2 this evening, both at the Connor Center. Now, the first one on January 3rd, the second is on January 4th. The police chief, Chief McGowan, has okayed both of them, which is always key. Good. So I'll make the motion that we approve the 2 special licenses at the Connor Center. First one on January 3rd, second on January 4th, 2016. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. More signing, but this one will be quick. Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
My pleasure.
Next agenda item, excuse me, is to approve the December 3rd, 2015 meeting minutes. This particular meeting, we had the Long Range Planning Committee talk about the benefits of becoming a green community. Thank you, Long Range Planning. I looked at these this afternoon. I had no comments or changes. Thank you, Mona.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, oh, thank you. I'll make the motion that we accept the meeting minutes of December 3rd, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Again, Mona, thank you very much. Okay, as we move right along, one of my favorites always is citizens' comments on the agenda. And if there are any citizens' comments, I'll entertain that right now. Doug?
Mr. Chairman, I have no comments this evening.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No?
She can't make
Yeah.
I'm here, citizens' comments, I appreciate your,
Can you introduce yourself to the TV, please, sir?
Jim Fleming.
Right, thank you.
The question I had was by pure accident, I picked up on the TV program that David had proposed, if I remember correctly, to start shutting down on Fridays afternoons like in the summer schedule. Chair said, well, let's see if we get some comments. And since, I don't know if you got comments.
No, I have not, sir.
So I'm here to make some comments. And since you're, and I guess it's appropriate because the implication was you're going to do it in January.
That's correct, sir.
Right. First, I'd like to know, I had some questions of clarity that I'd like answered. What's the scope of the proposal? And what employees and departments will be involved? And what departments are excluded?
If I may, it's for the town hall, and it's beginning January, the first Friday in January, thank you. And it's the whole town hall, all departments then. And the scope is at 1 o'clock, and correct me if I'm wrong. And we'll start, and we voted to allow that to happen, and based on, I guess for the first, right, for the first 6 months, a year, whatever it is, and would readdress it if there was an issue. So that was the extent of the conversation, and I thought it was a great benefit to our town employees who work very, very hard. And again, we do it in the summer, so it's a continuation of a process that is accepted by the town. And come March, when there's 100 people up here on a Friday at 3 o'clock, we might have to address it then. And we'll be open to that at the time. But in the meantime, that's what we decided to do.
So you would run it from January through June, and then take another look at it?
Yes, at any point in that, yes.
Let me just ask you, does it exclude the council agent?
Does it exclude?
They're not in it, they're not involved.
No, all town departments. It does not exclude the council on aging, no.
So it would include highway department, park and rec?
Park and Rec, clearly. Mr. Hughes
Library?
might need,
It wouldn't include
thank you.
Park and Rec or Highway.
Right.
It's only the,
Park and Rec, well, they have programs on a Friday afternoon or something, so their programs would continue.
Okay. This was, my recollection, this was announced around Thanksgiving. It came up as an item. One comment I want to make is, you haven't got much feedback.
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, let me thought, Thanksgiving travel, prep for Hanukkah and Christmas, shopping, parties, prep for travel for school breaks. Why make an announcement now when people are just up to their eyeballs with family matters?
That wasn't even a consideration that we were making that at a certain time of year or a certain night. Given what you just said, sir, the consideration was given to us and we voted on it after vetting it out. And again, if circumstances change because the town citizens want it to change, we will react at that point.
But I'm raising the question is to get that sense of approval before you do it. For example, the break at summertime, the precedence has been set. It's been done for how many years, would you say?
at least 15.
Yeah. This could be precedent setting.
Well, it is. We voted to, right.
Yeah, okay. Is there a written statement covering the ground rules of this break?
I'm confused.
Defining who's involved? Are there any exemptions? Any departments that are exempted?
It affects everybody who would be here in this,
Both
On
exempt
Friday.
and non-exempt employees?
yes.
Okay. Here's the thought I have. In 2016, can you find it? The 2016 town budget was approved at town meeting, May 2015. And there was no article proposal to reduce by approximately 10% citizen customer service, FaceTime. Never a mention budget was approved, but in effect, what you're doing is, I heard you say there's no cost involved. There is a cost involved. You're reducing the ability of townspeople, let me finish, to interface with departments. That's a cost.
Perhaps you didn't hear Mr. Ramsey's presentation to us, that the hours would not be reduced for an employee in the town. They have to make up the hours, so that particular viewpoint that you have is inaccurate.
No, for example, if Dave Ramsey makes up his 4 hours,
Everyone does, everyone.
wait a minute, let's use him as an example. He works 9 to 5. You're cutting out 4 hours. There will not be FaceTime, no matter how you make it up. If you make it up from 8 to 12 o'clock at night, that's not FaceTime.
Mhm.
Follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
You make it up from 6 o'clock in the morning, that's not FaceTime, okay?
But if he makes it up from 8 in the morning until 5, there is FaceTime.
But the point is, this is a service organization.
Correct.
FaceTime is critical. Also, this begs other questions. Should we be open on Friday, period? Should we reduce our costs by 20%? It opens up, it begs some interesting questions here. The other one is, do you have a plan? First, do employees each week sign a report of their hours worked?
They do.
They do.
They sign the payroll.
And the supervisor signs it?
Mhm.
Okay, let me ask you this. In the time you've been here, have you ever had an audit, either a state or federal audit, on labor and wages?
Yes.
Yes. IRS came in
The
audited.
IRS came in, but it's not the thing
Not
as Jim
IRS,
is
no.
talking about. This
I'm not
is
talking
more
about
of like a Fair Labor Standards compliance
Okay.
audit. No, we haven't.
You haven't, okay. Here's the proposal I'd like to make. If the selectmen and the town administrators wish to reduce customer service, FaceTime, to the town, present a plan as part of the 2017 budget. Okay? Do not implement the change halfway through. A budget was approved, which budget assumed there was no reduction in hours except the summer hours. You got a budget approved that said, we're gonna have FaceTime here for the full year, and the precedents had been for the summer, which has been accepted. I'm saying if you want to make that kind of a change in the service to the town, okay, and you're not only affecting the employees, you're affecting the employees' third parties. The third parties who do business with them, who need to come in and look at your records for permits, to look at plans, and you're cutting them right off. I think in the fairness, and then air it in town meeting. We have a forum. The one nice thing about a small town, you have a forum where you do not need to be elected. You can attend and you can vote. But I think that this challenges the budget. You had a budget that was approved, and it implied staffing, service, and you're changing that. And you're not changing it for 3 months. You're changing it for 6 months, halfway through the budget. I don't think that's
Thank you,
appropriate.
Mr. Fleming, for that. I totally disagree with your interpretation of what we did about FaceTime and service that our wonderful employees give to the town. I totally disagree with you for your viewpoint. You expressed it very well. I disagree with that. Mr. Ramsey and his staff and everyone in this town hall will work the same number of hours they did before. It's allocated differently during the week.
Let me ask you this. That's another weak spot here. Do you have a plan now from every employee how the time's going to be made up?
For all of the non-exempt, yes.
How about the exempt?
Exempt are salaried, as you know, Jim, and they work as many hours as it takes to get the job
I
done.
know, but
And it's always more than 40, Jim.
you know that you should have a plan. You should have a plan so that you know who's working, whether she's here, when you're here.
We do.
Et cetera.
Mr.
We
Fleming,
know
you
when
just
people are
answered the
working.
question.
Yeah. By the way, let me just final comment here.
Please,
I looked at a recent report.
which one?
Well, this is a report issued by Needham. I thought it was very,
I'm sorry.
by Needham, the town of Needham.
Town of Needham, okay.
Okay. It looked at 22 towns in this area. For example, Belmont, Brookline, Concord, Needham, Wellesley, Westwood, Cambridge. I can go on. It was interesting. Dover's average single-family bill out of 22 towns was the third highest.
Are we talking about real estate tax bill, sir?
Right.
Okay.
That pays for the operations.
Mhm.
That's my contribution to your services. And it was 13,715. Now let me look at another one. Pupil expenditures against the 22 towns, Arlington, Cambridge. Second highest at 21,336.
May I ask how that comes into play in this discussion?
How it plays, you need to manage the costs of this system. We're reducing time. Are we reducing costs?
Again, Mr. Fleming, we heard your comments, sir. We're not reducing services to the town. We're not reducing costs. Mr. Ramsey just said he has a plan for all non-exempt employees. The salaried employees work much harder, longer hours, I should say. So that's in place already. That won't change. So again, I respectfully disagree with your viewpoint on what actions we took.
Well, I think the bigger issue
It's
here
not
is,
that-
Mr. Fleming,
One second, sir.
I listened to you, so you can listen to me now. This is a trial, and if we find that there are citizens that need to get business done, and we're not here, and they let us know, we will relook this decision. You know, the decision wasn't entered into lightly. It was entered into by the fact that there is very little traffic in this building on Friday afternoons.
That's interesting.
So, you know, the clerk's office is not open on Fridays.
Friday
And
afternoon.
a lot of the business is, a lot of business in the townhouse is with the clerk. So we will
That makes
monitor
another
that.
point. The point is, Dave, some people here have a one-year appointment. The appointment, understand you do?
3-year.
3-year
3 years,
contract, sir.
but some have one?
Yes.
Yes. Implicit in those appointments was the understanding of the time they would work. We also have elected employees. Would elected employees who were understood what office they were filling, would they now change their hours?
My hours change every single day,
No,
sir.
you're
That's
not,
correct.
you're a volunteer.
I'm an elected official, sir. I don't know, you should,
You are, but you're a form of a
Well,
volunteer.
but the hours are published. Hours are published. If the citizens of Dover feel that they need to get town business done on Friday afternoons between 1 and 5, and they can't get it done, they need to let us know. And we will then reevaluate this trial decision that we've made. You know, we understand your comments. Everybody here that shares similar views, we encourage them to come in and to talk to us, and we will reevaluate this decision, you know, in the summer and see if it's something we want.
Well, my final comment, would you bring this up to town meeting?
no,
Why?
it's not necessary.
It's not a town meeting decision.
Are you sure of that?
I'm positive of that, sir.
Why wouldn't you?
It's not necessary.
Because you wouldn't test it?
I'm not testing anything. The test will come over how many people come up here on a Friday afternoon. The townspeople will tell us, really, by the traffic up here on a Friday afternoon, and we'll give them 6 months to tell us that.
It's unfortunate you made the decision so quickly. And it's unfortunate that
Thank you,
you
Mr.
gave the
Fleming.
town a very short notice.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. I will now make a motion for adjournment of the meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.